using storytelling, when you share stories with people, they naturally, like getting down to the science of it, the actual brain chemicals, your brain releases oxytocin, which is the love chemical.
Yeah.
And when people have that chemical release, it actually makes them feel bonded to you.
Okay.
It makes them more generous. It lowers their inhibitions. I mean, this is how people fall in love, but it's also how they fall in love with you, to where if they're comparing 3 different photographers and the work's equally good to them as a consumer and the prices are pretty much similar, they're going to pick the person that they love.
And so your goal is to spur someone on to release oxytocin.
Spur them on to release the oxytocin
in their brains.
Through story, and most of it is actually, if you're comfortable with it, or as you become more comfortable with it, sharing more personal stories. An interesting thing, like I said, I've blogged for 18 years. I've worked on the internet for 20.
Right.
And as far as working with companies, and 20 years ago, companies used to say, oh, if you're a small company of 2 or 3 people, you can make yourself look like a company of 100 or 1,000 or 10,000. You can make yourself look as big as you wanted.
Sure.
But thanks to social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, we flipped that equation. And we now expect huge companies to act like companies of one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. If you were flying home from WPPI and you had a problem with your flight, you might hop on Twitter and send a tweet about your flight.
Right.
And you would actually expect a response from a human by the time you landed.
Right.
We didn't expect that 20 years ago. Not at all.
Wasn't even on the map.
Not on the map. But that's how people more and more expect that human connection. They want it. They crave it. And so the more that you can let your personality shine in your business, the more you can make that connection with people so they're interested in hiring you.
Are there risks in doing that?
The initial risk that most people run up against is, whether or not they include their family in things. What do I talk about? And that line is really going to vary for each individual.
Right.
I know people that don't talk about their children at all.
Never. Right.
Never. I know people that talk about their children all the time.
Right. The other side of the coin.
So it's making those choices. And I think the other risk could possibly be getting so wrapped up, like feeling like you have to become Instagram famous. Do I need 100,000 followers on Instagram and things like that?
Yeah.
And you don't. You really don't. Most of us only work with 100 clients a year or less. You don't need 10,000 followers.
Right. That might be a relief to some people.
Yeah, it really is. When if you do the math backwards of how many people do I actually need to get in front of?
Right.
It's a much smaller number than you think it is.
You think, right.
It's going to be different if you're running a large studio and you have associate photographers and you do photograph 300 or 400 clients a year.
Right.
Working with volume is going to be a different story. And the ultimate hurdle, I'm boring. My life is boring. I don't ever do anything. I have nothing to share.
I'm assuming you're referring to that lie.
Right. It's a huge, huge lie that we tell ourselves. Right. People are interested in even the littlest details, things that you recommend, things that you love. You went for a walk today and you saw something cool.
Right.
It doesn't have to be so elaborate.
Right. Right. What do you say to the detractors that say, no, I'm not interested in what everybody has for dinner or what, do you know what I mean? Like everyone's posting the creme brulee that they had last night because I wanted to do that. Well,
and if it's not for you, then don't do it and find what is for you. Where are the people that you want to work with at?
Right.
And what's the most comfortable for you? I taught here at WPPI the other day, and somebody came up after the class and they said, I don't enjoy Instagram.
Okay.
But then when we talked about it, they really enjoyed Facebook. And I said, well, then just stay on Facebook.
Then don't open Instagram.
But
Yeah.
it feels like a lot
Right.
of the advice that we get is we'll use Facebook for this and use Instagram for this.
I
and
see. Yeah.
don't forget to use Twitter, and you should use Pinterest too.
Right.
Oh, and by the way, you still need to run your business.
Right.
And you still need to book sessions. And it just becomes really overwhelming.
Right.
Like pick one
Right.
and focus on that one.
Well, pick the one you like.
Right.
Hey guys, thanks for watching this conversation presented by White House Custom Color on YouTube. Be sure to check out our other content and click that subscribe button right there. Right. Right there. It's there somewhere.